Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Cami. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. I'm beside myself on this cause. I lost a friend from high school, unfortunately from suicide. And this cause is near and dear to my heart, and educating people on your purpose and your cause and your passion is so important to me on this Real Estate 101. And I wanted to make sure that this was done properly. So I asked Cami, because she is the creator of Real Agents of Change, and she brought this to me with a passion in her heart to get back to people in the community and nonprofits through the charitable gifts of real estate. So Cami, thank you so much. Brian, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. And Cami, do you have everything you need from me?
I do. I received the presentation slides, so let's get started. I know we're running a little bit behind, and I want to respect everyone's time. As Sam said, this whole platform was a brainchild of mine when I saw charitable gifting of real estate 2.5 years ago. The evolution of this is that I've got a lot of years in real estate, did a lot of real estate up in New Hampshire. So I have the real estate mindset, but while I was in real estate, there were causes I cared about too, Sam and Brian. And now I care about all of them because I know that gifts of real estate, the proceeds from the gifting of real estate is always going to be a better way to fund nonprofits than fundraisers. And in this presentation today, you'll see why that is. Okay, legacy listings, charitable gifting of real estate. When a piece of real estate is donated to Brian's cause, the only way to give him the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in proceeds is to list that property and liquidate it. We need to sell it in order to give him the cash. And that is why we call these legacy listings. So let's talk a little bit about charitable gifts of real estate. What is this? Why have you never heard of it? In 1917, the United States government wanted to incentivize people to support nonprofits. So the tax donation was created. And what they said was, if you, property owner, will donate a piece of real estate to a legitimate 501c3, you will now have an asset that you can sell to fund your programs, and the donors can get tax benefits that they just can't get any other way. And it depends on the specific person as to how that all plays out. But ultimately, the two that we talk about the most are avoiding capital gains tax on that which is donated, and the ability to write off the full appraised value off of their adjusted gross income. So it sounds simple enough. There are donors, there are veterans, there are people who want to support our veterans. There are others like Sam who have lost a friend or family member to suicide, and they want to stop it. And they want to help Brian's cause, period. They do. So this sounds simple enough, but the problem is this can be very complicated. It can be very risky, and it is stopping the donations from happening for all of the 1.3 million nonprofits, but we are here to help Brian's specifically right now. So even though there's 1.3 million nonprofits, less than 0.5% of them can take a gift of real estate. I mean, they all can, but they don't because it is so risky. So on average, if someone had $500 cash or the deed to a property worth $500,000, 99.9% of nonprofits would take the cash, be grateful for it, and say no to a $500,000 donation. And friends, they should. They should not be getting into the real estate business because of all the reasons we're getting ready to line out for you. So the problem is the nonprofits don't have the expertise. And right now we're talking about Brian's nonprofit. And friends, even if Sam Silver and Cami Baker sit on the board, even with all the expertise that we bring, what about the capital? We're going to talk about how the majority of these donations require either a mortgage to get paid off, or the donor might want cash out of this piece of property that they're donating. We'll give you some examples of that in just a moment. But just know that the problem is no expertise and no capital to make this happen. Brian's mission is huge. It is serious. It requires his full focus and attention. We do not want him drifting off his mission by trying to figure out how to accept real estate, how to pay off mortgages, who's going to put the roof on, how are we going to pay for the next 6 months of holding costs. We don't want that. We want him to stay on his mission. There are bad experiences that nonprofits have heard about and or had themselves that keep them from not accepting gifts of real estate. Some of them will accept real estate if it's local and mortgage-free and easy. Most of them actually have it written right in their bylaws that they do not accept non-cash assets. They flat out stop it from happening because of all of these problems. And ultimately, it's just too risky. So the reason that we've never heard of this before is, even though it's been happening for 100 years, and even though $9 billion a year is donated, which we're going to talk about right now, the fact is, if 99.9% of our nonprofit friends cannot, will not, won't accept gifts of real estate, there's just been no reason to talk about it in the marketplace. However, here's the opportunity. $474 billion a year is donated to nonprofits. 90% of that is cash. Think about that. Pocket change, credit card, checking account, cash. And as a society, we have less than 3% of our available wealth in cash. Whether a person makes $20,000 a year or $20 million a year, they have less than 3% at their disposal in cash. However, $9 billion is coming in a year from real estate. Now, whether that sounds like a lot or a little, it's only 2% of that $474 billion a year. However, 43% of our wealth as a nation is held in real estate. So to kind of sum that up, 90% is coming in from less than 3% of the cash we have exposure to. 2% is coming from the 43% of wealth. And friends, this is why the truth is nonprofits who benefit from the proceeds of real estate will always be a better way to get funded than doing traditional fundraisers. So here's the solution. The solution is called a specialized nonprofit. And the one that we specifically love to work with the most is a handful of guys who have 30, 40 years of experience each in commercial real estate and in philanthropy. They've all sat on boards. They all know real estate really well, and they all know fundraising and nonprofits very well. And many years ago, they said to each other, why are the nonprofits we love not benefiting from the real estate that we know is where we all hold our wealth? And they figured all of that out. And long story short, they created this bridge, this go-between. The specialized nonprofit takes title to the donation of real estate. They take on the financial responsibility. They pay off mortgages. They are the ones who take all of the risk, which allows any nonprofit to benefit from gifts of real estate. And in this case, Brian's nonprofit, with no risk no out-of-pocket expense, and no need to change any gift acceptance policies or to take on the burden of real estate. The fact is, Brian doesn't even need to know what state the piece of real estate is in or the address. And we say that to really drive home the lack of risk on his behalf. He is simply going to smile for the camera when the check is given. And also, with him working with Sam Silver as the real agent of change, who is backing and supporting and helping him and his donors, we'll also be able to do some really fun campaigns to let people know about the donations, but ultimately, he doesn't even need to know where they are. That's how far removed they are. So these are some of the logos of nonprofits who have benefited from gifts of real estate. I want you to really sit with these for a moment and notice all the ones that you recognize. And it's interesting that the majority of all of these have branches, chapters, locations all over the country. And even though one of them, two of them, 10 of them have benefited from a gift of real estate, they don't talk to each other. So even the local Boys and Girls Club, the local Habitat for Humanity, they just don't know that this is an option. So we are so honored that now that Brian's group understands how this works, bam, he will be able to receive, on average, $500,000 from a gift of real estate. Now, this one at the top, Fidelity Charitable, the reason we point this one out is because it is the largest of all of the 1.3 million nonprofits. They bring in $13 billion a year alone. And even they don't want to do real estate. It's not in their wheelhouse. It would create mission drift for them. So even they leverage a third party to handle these transactions. And here's the good news. It's the same one that we work with. It's the same one that Die Hard is going to be able to benefit from. It's the same one that Fidelity Charitables uses. So the credibility, the credentials are already there. Universities, soup kitchens, homeless shelters, veteran groups all over the country have been benefiting for over 100 years. So here's what it looks like. Let's say that Brian's group has a donor with a condo in Florida. They've been using this condo as a second home for 20 years. They bought it a long time ago. Therefore, now, as it has increased in value, it would be a huge capital gains that they would pay to the government. So they say, you know what? This $1 million condo, we want to benefit Brian. And we love him, but we don't love him enough to give him all of the million. We want to get $300,000 cash out. It's what we paid for it 20 years ago. We'd like to get that back in our pocket. So when they donate this property to the specialized nonprofit gives them the $300,000 that they're wanting out. They take title, they take responsibility, they hire a real estate agent in that marketplace that will work with Sam Silver. And when the property is sold, the proceeds go to Brian's nonprofit and any other nonprofits that the donor wants to benefit. In other words, that proceeds can go to one nonprofit, 3 nonprofits. We want you to understand that the donor doesn't have to donate the full amount. The donor doesn't have to limit to 1 or 3 or 10, giving Brian the ability to collaborate with lots of nonprofits. You know, when you're not just splitting $25 raffle ticket or the $10,000 that comes in from the golf tournament, when you've got these kind of donations coming in, you can really collaborate and work with all kinds of nonprofits, realtors, financial advisors. So let's talk about the specific benefits to the nonprofit, to the donor, and to the advisor. Now, these benefits are because of charitable gifts of real estate, but some of them are only because there's a third party involved. So for example, no risk, all reward. If Brian were doing these deals all by himself and paying off that $300,000 that the condo owner wants back in their pocket, boy, there's a lot of risk and liability in that. But with how we do it, zero risk. No traditional fundraiser or grant writing. Now, don't get me wrong. I know, we all know that we love a good fundraiser. We love a good gala, golf tournament, barbecue, bake sale. We love to be social and friendly. We want to meet people and build relationships. However, there is no 3 to 6 months of planning or arduous grant writing with this. Average donation from one piece of real estate, as I've mentioned, is $550,000. Specialized nonprofit actually mentioned to me that it was $557,000 last year, and it's $900,000 when it's a commercial donation. Now, I really want to drive this point home because there is a huge misconception. There's a scarcity mindset that people don't understand. These donations are in the donor list of the nonprofits. So whether the nonprofit has 100 or 500 or 1,000 or 500,000 donors, there are donations of real estate on their donor list. Friends, we've just never had this conversation before. How could we possibly know what's on our donor's heart or how many pieces of real estate they own? We simply let them know that it's an option. So here's the thing. Current donors can give 3 to 7 times more. This is proven. We can talk about it infinitum as to how that works. There are lots of experts, one of them being Dr. Russell James, whom we'll talk about in just a moment, that have proven that the current donors on a nonprofit's list will give 3 to 7 times more from non-cash assets. Now let's talk about this bullet point, everyone has a Linda. This is one of our favorite stories, and it really drives this point home. National Jewish Health is a huge nonprofit in this country. They bring in hundreds of millions of dollars a year. They have a donor list of 300,000 people. One of their donors, who was giving $25 a year for 32 years, was Linda. Linda's a real person on this real list who a couple of years ago saw a member from the team talking about gifts of real estate. When she found out that she could donate real estate, she raised her hand and said, "Hey, I've got a cabin in the Poconos. It's a second home. It's been in my family for years and years and years. It's a 6-hour drive. It's fallen into disrepair. If I go visit the cabin, I actually have to get a hotel room because it's in that bad of disrepair. I'd have to come out of pocket to even get the plumbing and electricity up to code." So when she found out that she could donate it, she handed over the keys and the deed to the team who took care of all of the transaction and gave a check for $39,000 to that nonprofit. Now, average donation is $550, but there are donations of millions of dollars, and there are donations like Linda for $39,000. Our point is, everyone has a Linda. Brian has lots of Lindas and Jims and Bills and Johns who would donate real estate if they just knew. And here's another interesting point. The Kelly, the fundraiser over at National Jewish Health, told me 3 months ago, she said Linda now gives $500 a year, from $25 a year to $500 a year, because she donated that real estate. Friends, there is a psychological change that happens when people start giving from their wealth bucket as opposed to their cash pocket. Now, this point is so huge. Dr. James is actually a really good friend of The Rock, The Real Agents of Change. He wrote the foreword for our upcoming book that's coming out. He and his researchers, this is what they do. They read 1 million tax returns from 200,000 nonprofits, and they have proven that the donors on the donor list will donate, and the nonprofits bring in 6 times what they normally would when they start getting funded this way. Now, if a nonprofit already takes real estate, if it's in their market and it's risk-free and easy and mortgage-free, they can actually expand to now benefit from real estate anywhere in the country. And ultimately, they can just leave the legacy they're here to leave. You know, Brian is saving lives. We want Brian to be funded so that he can do the programs and have the camps and the buildings and the staff and the people to help support that mission. Now let's talk for a minute about the donor benefits, because it's really important that we know why would people donate real estate? Now, let me just say, we cannot assume what is on anyone's heart or what kind of assets they have. We simply let them know that this is an option. And believe it or not, the number one reason is convenience. Linda did not want to drive 6 hours to a cabin that she could not even stay in, spend money on a hotel room, hire contractors with cash out of her own pocket, et cetera, et cetera. It was more convenient for her to hand over the keys and the deed. And friends, please do not get in the lack mentality that you don't know anyone who would find it convenient to hand over that much money. We just don't know. We don't know what's on their heart. And there are a lot of people who want to help your nonprofit. And as I mentioned before, they can receive partial cash payment. That condo in Florida, the example that I gave, they wanted $300,000 cash. They could have paid off a mortgage with it, or maybe they're buying life insurance. Maybe they have kids, and maybe that condo was their inheritance, but at the end of the day, they didn't want that condo anyway. But what they do want is cash. So these life insurance policies replace the condo. They can do whatever they want with this cash. It's up to them. Now, donors can give smarter from their wealth bucket. That's why when Linda learned about this, at $25 a year, that's all the cash that she could spare. Her wealth bucket was a different story. No capital gains tax is big for people who would owe the government tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And ultimately, 80% of these donations are because the person is a veteran and they want to help veterans. Their brother committed suicide and they want to help stop it. We have to know that people want to leave legacy. And when we focus on, instead of, who would give a piece of real estate? When we focus on, who would give a piece of real estate? Then we start noticing that it's the people who want to leave legacy. Now let's talk for a minute about the advisor benefits. It's super important that everybody understand what's in it for everyone. This is a win-win-win. And Brian is thrilled to have Sam helping to represent him, not only because it's coming from his heart, but because he's benefiting too. And he can help all the businesses to benefit. So when we talk about advisors, we are specifically talking about people who advise other human beings that own real estate. So it could be an estate planning attorney, it could be a CPA, it could be a financial professional, it could be a realtor. First and foremost, they can make money because of making a difference, from making a difference to make a difference. So as a business development element, what a great way. Instead of, Sam or other advisors spending thousands of dollars to do Facebook ads to try to find a client, What if they just showed up in the community as socially responsible and loving our veterans and our animals and our children? The fact is, people want to do business with those who are socially responsible. Secondly, they can support lots of causes. So we're doing this presentation for Brian and Die Hard. And when Sam and Brian talk this through, wow, there are dozens of other veteran groups that could get involved, or even churches, or even soup kitchens and homeless shelters, and just pets for vets, all the animal stuff. In other words, what if we came together as a community and everybody was able to make money and make a difference? It is a unique sales proposition for these folks. So by 2025, there will be charitable real estate specialists and charitable real estate divisions in every marketplace in this country. And it opens doors. It gives us access to high net worth individuals who are generous and giving. Friends, this is just a better way to do business. So as we are creating these charitable real estate divisions, these divisions can be in a real estate office, in a financial professional office, or even in a nonprofit. When a nonprofit has charitable real estate division, when they can show up on our map that I'm going to show you in a minute as a nonprofit that's not only doing great things in the world, but that is educated and savvy about what we're doing with the real agents of change, they will take on more partners. So realtors get paid a full commission. When these donations are donated, the only way we can give Brian money and all the other nonprofits is to liquidate it. And we do not want the realtors working for a discount or doing it for free. We want to make sure that they get paid what they're worth. They get a full commission. And the financial advisors, they can add to their assets under management. How all that happens, we really like what you're watching right now is the appetizer. It's like the tray of appetizers. You take a little taste to decide if you want to go in the other room for the buffet. The buffet is the master class. It is the third Tuesday of the month. And when you come there, you can really wrap your head more around assets under management, how this benefits everybody, et cetera. And the master class is free. So there's no excuse to not come learn how your nonprofits can benefit. So let's talk for a minute about who are the real agents of change, the ROC, as we've become known. Why are we a solution? How are we a solution for everyone involved? Well, we are the only organization in the country and actually in the world that is providing this kind of information, education, and certification for the realtors, the financial advisors, the nonprofits, all the people. And we are the only group that will ever understand how to leverage real estate for real change. We have vetted resources and relationships that include, but are not limited to, for example, specialized nonprofit. Now, if you Google charitable gifts of real estate, variation of those words, you'll find that there are several nonprofits that are accepting real estate. For example, Cars for Kids now accepts real estate. Why would I say that when it might sound like that might be competition or something? Here's the trick. When someone donates real estate to Cars for Kids, they get the tax benefit that they're looking for, but they cannot give the proceeds to Brian or to the soup kitchen or to the animal shelter. They cannot say where the money's going to go. So for people who only want a tax deduction, there's a dozen options. But for people who want to fund the nonprofits they love, there are not that many choices. We at the Real Agents of Change provide copy, email, social media, cause marketing campaigns are marketing with the cause in mind. They market businesses, and friends, for-profit and nonprofit are businesses. And when these businesses can come together with a cause in mind and do a campaign, you're all watching this, whether you're live or whether you're watching it as a recording. You're watching it because of some of this that we've put out in one way or another. And we're the only organization that provides that. We have the only programs for those specialists and those charitable real estate divisions. And here's the map that I want to show to you. We've created a database map on our website. When people are starting to Google charitable gifts of real estate, when they hit this map, at the time of this screen capture, these are all real estate agents. And you'll notice on the left-hand side that we have actually created designations in different colors for these other folks. Why would a nonprofit, for example, want to become a charitable real estate specialist? Because as people are Googling and searching and wanting to learn about this, when the nonprofit shows up on the map, look, there are 1.3 million nonprofits. There is no scarcity of nonprofits, and people can help any nonprofit with this ability to fund. But here's the thing, bringing it to the attention of a nonprofit, getting the nonprofit and their board to take action on it, having the nonprofit understand how to position, partner, promote with you and for you, that's a whole other ball game. See, when Brian gets on the map, when other veteran groups get on the map, or other churches or other soup kitchens, we have a real estate agent just a couple of weeks ago who said to me, Cami, I want to meet veteran groups. I just want to help our veterans. I don't really care how they help them. I just want to help the veterans who've kept our country safe and free. So for her to be able to come on here and find the veteran groups who already have vetted, already have gone through the learning process and are just ready to position, partner, promote, that will be a big, big benefit for both of them. So that's what this database is about. Now, we're going to bring this to a bit of a close now. I just want to share with you, we have the systems and strategy and support to not only create charitable real estate specialists, but also charitable real estate champions. So when you think about the word specialist, it's all up in the head. It's knowledge. It's having these special skills for a specific field. It's really having this detailed knowledge that no one else in your marketplace has. Doctors can have a general specialty, or they can help with gut issues or brain issues or eye issues. In other words, you go to a specialist because they have a specific knowledge. So when people come to our master class and they learn about charitable gifts of real estate, they have a knowledge that others in their marketplace don't have, period. However, to take it the next step, see, this is what Sam Silver has done. And this is what others who want to take a stand and to be that champion that their marketplaces need. So a champion is someone who fights for, speaks up for, in favor of a person or a cause. Brian created this nonprofit because he's a champion and he is taking a stand. I hear it in his voice. I see it in his body language. I feel it from his conviction. He is a champion for those that he is here to fight for. A champion does that battle for those that they want to honor. A champion is number one in their marketplace. They are beating the competition because they got heart. It's not just that they know, it's that they've got heart. So to bring this to a conclusion, there are 4 kinds of people that we meet in these presentations. The first kind of person is rare, but sometimes people make it on here that they're not a nonprofit. They don't know a nonprofit. They're not a realtor. They don't know a financial advisor. They don't really see any reason to be socially responsible and be a benefit. It happens. So, you know what? Thank you for coming. If that's you, what we want you to know is pool parties, at the water cooler at work, on social media, in groups that you belong to, all those people who are suffering and struggling, looking for ways to get funded, etc. You will be hearing about this. So now you know where to come when you want to learn more. Some people who sit in on these say, holy cow, we are simplifying our estate. We do have that multifamily out in Wisconsin, or that condo in Florida, or that strip mall in Arizona. How do we find out if we can donate it? We have this thing called property evaluation. You fill it out. It takes 3 minutes to fill it out. We put you in touch with the specialized nonprofit. They meet with you, and within a 24-hour period, they can give you 2 net sheets. One based on if you were to sell it, pay Uncle Sam 30% in taxes, not be able to write it off of your taxes, et cetera, et cetera. And then another one based on when you donate to Brian and you do have these tax advantages and more money goes to his organization and more money comes off of your taxes at the end of the year. And then you can decide if it's good for you or not. Another kind of person says, okay, I get it. Been around for 100 years. 99.99% of nonprofits do not accept real estate. That's why we've never been taught it. No point learning about it if they don't know about it or if they won't do anything with it. Nonprofits I love can 6 times their endowment. I get all that, but I need a little bit more. No worries. Go to the FAQS, 13 top questions and misconceptions that are answered between myself and the specialized nonprofit. There's an interview with me and them. There is an interview with Dr. Russell James, the report that they created around 6 times the endowments, all of it there. On this link, the donations link, you can see case studies, land, commercial, residential, who donated it, why they donated it, how much money went to nonprofit, what nonprofit got the money. Masterclass. Look, if you see this and you think I need more information, then you need to come to the masterclass, period, end of story. That's where you can really take a deep dive and start understanding why everyone is making money, making a difference, how the nonprofits can talk to their current donor list and find these donations, etc. And when you take the masterclass for free, if you decide that you want to become a specialist or a champion, that's where you find out how to do that. Now, the last kind of person is someone who says, look, I'd never heard of this, and I do need some questions answered, but ultimately, my board needs to know about this. I'm not going to get caught up in analysis paralysis and spend the next month or year trying to figure it out on my own. I want my board to know. The board needs to know. The people who sit on the board own real estate. They're on the board because they are influential, they are sophisticated, they have the heart of a champion. They just don't know that their real estate could benefit your nonprofit. Maybe you're saying, yeah, I want the board to know, but even more, I want my donors to know. My donors need to be informed and educated. We do not have any interest in your donor list. We do not want to take your donor list. We don't want to talk to your donors for you. That's your relationship. You keep those donors. We're not even asking the donors to donate real estate. We are asking them if they want to learn more. Do they want to become educated? Do they want to know what all their options are? Maybe you have a real estate company, or you realize, ooh, realtors all over the country can get paid full commissions to sell properties that will benefit my nonprofit. Okay, let's invite some of those people. Financial services. I just did the 101 overview for everyone the hour before this presentation. We had a financial service person on. And he said exactly what I bring up every week. The reason that 65% of these donations come from financial advisors is because they have hundreds and thousands of clients who either A, want to be more philanthropic, or B, want a tax deduction, or both. And the financial advisor knows that gifts of real estate are a good thing. They've just never had a system or a way to liquidate that real estate for their clients and give it to the nonprofits they love. Maybe you have clients that need to know about this. Maybe you belong to a real estate investor group. Maybe you belong to those Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups with thousands of nonprofits who are all struggling, suffering, needing funding. They're all doing the same things they've all always done, that we all have done, but it's not working. And events are being canceled and people are not coming out of their house. There is a revolution happening. We are fixing that, because fundraisers are a poor way to fund a nonprofit when they can benefit from proceeds of real estate. Ultimately, friends, what we're saying is, if you want to become a charitable real estate champion and take a stand for those you say you're here to serve, you can do one of these for yourself. You can host one of these. You can co-brand with us. So just like Brian said, look, my plate is full. I don't have time to learn all this stuff or to do it. But if Sam, as a real estate agent, if he wants to be our representative, I'll invite all of our donors. I'll invite all of our board members. I'll let everybody that I care about know that this is a better way for them to give. He knew that he wasn't inviting people to sell them something or to beg them to buy something or to do anything other than just learn. Just learn. Just know what this is. So this is an example of champions. The woman on the left, Hallie, is the executive director of a nonprofit. Can't really see it at the bottom, but it's called The Haven. Her and Jessica Peterson is the real estate agent that brought that nonprofit to the table. We did this photo shoot so that the photo can go into our book that's coming out and we can present it to the media. We want you to know that not only is the book coming out, but April is List a Legacy Listing Month. It is a way for us to have a public awareness campaign so that everybody understands how this works. And ultimately, we want to invite you to sit in on the masterclass. We want to give you the first chapter of the book for free. And we want to make sure that you know that Sam Silver, who already does Sam's Heroes, who's already been being a benefit to our heroes, is now the certified charitable real estate champion for Brian's cause, for veterans in general, even for animals. As you can see, he loves his dog, right? He is the go-to champion in this industry. You can feel free to reach out to him. And on that note, we're going to stop sharing and we're going to come on over and see if you have any questions, comments, concerns, hallucinations that I can wrap up for you.
Here at Project Die Hard, we are so grateful for Sam, for you, Cami, to come on board with our mission and to help us. We will do our part by spreading the word. And I know with Sam's help, we will get our facilities built even faster so we can really get to the business of saving lives.
Well, thank you, Brian. As we say all the time, our mission is to fund your mission. Our purpose is to fund your purpose. We're not out in the streets saving lives like you are. Our part is to help you get the funding so you can hire, so that you can market, so that you can do what you're there to do. So we are just honored to partner with you. And, you know, if you want to have another one of these in another 30 days or so, and invite people who see the recording to come on and get questions answered, we'd be thrilled to do that.
Sam is the start. When I get this recording, it'll be put into some of my veteran brothers that are realtors. And we believe teamwork makes the dream work. But I also believe I can't do everything. So this is why Sam will lead up that team and we'll make great things.
All right, friends, on that note, I'm going to bow out gracefully. And I look forward to hearing how we can support you further. Thank you, everyone.